Before it was a month, it was a question: whose history matters? For much of the nation's early history, the lives, contributions, and intellectual traditions of Black people were not nationally recognized. Although Africans played an integral role in the establishment and survival of colonies in the Americas and the New World, their stories were largely absent from official historical accounts, textbooks, and public institutions. Black history existed, taught within families, preserved through oral tradition, and carried in community memory, but it was not affirmed or acknowledged at the national level. Black History Month traces its origins to a deliberate challenge against this omission and erasure. Scholars and educators sought not only to correct the historical record, but to assert a foundational truth. Black history is essential to understanding American history itself. What began as an intentional effort to document, teach, and honor the lives, achievements, and struggles of African Americans grew into a national observance, one rooted in truth, dignity, and the belief that history, when told fully, empowers generations to see themselves as both contributors to the past and shapers of the future. To understand how the question, whose history matters, became a national commemoration, we must look back at the individuals, movements, and moments that transformed recognition into remembrance. One integral moment that led to Black history becoming nationally recognized can be traced to the Reconstruction era, when Black Americans viewed education as a tool of self-determination, a powerful means of shaping identity, agency, and future possibility. Communities responded by building schools, churches, and historically Black colleges and universities, not only as centers of learning, but as spaces of cultural preservation and historical consciousness. These cultural institutions became guardians of memory, laying the groundwork for a broader movement to formally document and celebrate Black history. By the early 20th century, Black educators and scholars understood the danger of silence. When students were denied their history, they were denied their humanity. While early efforts to preserve Black history had taken root in families and local communities, it became clear that reclaiming and sustaining history would require more than individual or localized action. It would require institutions capable of elevating Black history from the margins into the broader narrative of the nation. That realization led Carter G. Woodson and a group of Black scholars and professionals to establish the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History in 1915. Its mission was bold and necessary: to research, document, and teach Black history with scholarly rigor at a time when segregation shaped nearly every classroom in America. The work quickly became tangible. In 1916, the organization published the Journal of Negro History, creating a permanent scholarly record of Black life, achievement, and resistance. By the 1920s, Black history was being intentionally promoted in schools and communities across the country, even as segregation remained the norm. Still, Woodson and his colleagues understood that scholarship alone was not enough. History had to reach the broader public. That belief became action in 1926 with the launch of Negro History Week. February was chosen deliberately, aligning with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, dates already honored within Black communities. The purpose was education. Teachers reshaped lessons. Churches hosted programs. Newspapers amplified stories long ignored. As segregation persisted, the need for accurate history only grew. Resources such as the Negro History Bulletin, introduced in 1937, supported educators working within unequal school systems and reinforced Woodson's warning that without intentional teaching, history could still be erased. By the mid-20th century, the struggle for education and equality reached a breaking point. During the Great Migration, Black families carried their histories into new cities, demanding opportunity, dignity, and justice. Later, the modern civil rights movement took shape in 1954, when Brown v. Board of Education declared segregated schools unconstitutional. The ruling exposed what Black communities had long known: separate was never equal. Yet even as laws began to change, access to equitable education and accurate history remained uneven. By the late 1960s, a new generation pushed further. In 1969, Black students and educators at Kent State University called for Negro History Week to become a month-long observance. Their vision became reality in 1970, when the first Black History Month was celebrated. National recognition followed. During the United States bicentennial, in 1976, Negro History Week officially became Black History Month, affirming that Black history is inseparable from American history. Yet the message has remained consistent. Black History Month was never meant to confine Black history to 30 days. It was meant to deepen study, encourage year-round learning, and correct the historical record. That work continues today, through organizations such as the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, which establishes annual themes to guide scholarship and public understanding, and through African American Studies courses that invite students to explore history alongside contemporary issues. As 2026 marks 100 years of Black history commemorations, the responsibility remains. So we return to the question, whose history matters? The creation of Black History Month was an answer, born from the belief that Black history deserved recognition, study, and preservation within the nation's historical record. That belief has taken root. Black history is now taught, researched, and celebrated across communities and around the world. Yet from its very beginning, Black History Month was never intended to be a conclusion. It was designed as a catalyst, an entry point into deeper study and sustained learning. Black History Month is not a finish line. It is a responsibility to tell the truth, to teach fully, and to remember boldly.